morning. I wanted to cover the topic of treats, cookies, mints, sugar cubes, all the things that we want to be able to give our horse from our hand to make them feel like we love them. The only problem is horses don't see things that way. They don't understand it's a heart gesture. They understand that you are the keeper of something yummy. They believe you are a dispenser. You are a cookie jar. You are a candy bin. You are the sugar canister, okay? They don't see you as somebody who has a loving gesture because I have this yummy treat to give to you. Horses don't have that kind of reasoning. So often I'll have conversations with people about cookies, and people may misinterpret my belief on cookies as my saying horses should never have cookies, they should never have treats. That's not at all what I'm saying. I give all of my horses, even my boarders' horses, treats on a regular basis. But my horses, when they hear the cookie jar or they hear the treat bag, they know that means they should go stand and wait at their bucket, at their food bowl. They should not sit there and look in each of your hands, pat down your pockets, nibble on you, pull on you, bite you. They shouldn't do any of those things because my horses have never believed that you are the bag of cookies. They've never believed that you are the dispenser and they've got to find the button to make the cookie pop out. I really, really, really am strict, and it's a barn rule at my barn that we do not do handheld treats. It's not only for your safety, it's for the safety of somebody that just happens to be standing in the vicinity of your horse. It's for the safety of people who have to handle your horse. It's safety. When you smell yummy, your horse is going to pat you down. Your horse is going to push all the buttons of all the places he's ever known a cookie to be on a human being. And he's going to... Some people think it's cute. I don't know. I think when it gets escalated to the, why haven't you given me that treat? I've patted you down and you usually laugh and give me one, and now you're not laughing. Why aren't you giving me one? And it's probably because you don't actually have one. And when you don't have one, what's your horse going to do? That could escalate into a horse that bites. Likely will escalate into a horse that bites. I have no reason to do that. I have no reason to teach my horses how to be rude. I had one of my boarders come one time, actually in 2 different occasions. The one time where I'm going to bring up the absolute danger of it is she went out into the middle of a herd of horses with a little bag of treats. Her horse did not rank very high in that herd, but she kept trying to give her horse a cookie. All of the other horses who rank above her horse were crowding her to the point to where it was dangerous. She had about 5 1,200-pound animals standing around her, pushing at her. One would nudge her left, the other one would nudge her right. She was a little woman. She's maybe 5'3". And my horses, not my horses, but the horses in the herd, were pushing her around so that she could potentially get hurt. And there was nothing about that. In fact, I actually had a moment of fearing for her safety. People get kicked when they go into herds with cookies and not knowing where their horse ranks. Can be life-threatening. I know people who've been seriously injured by another horse who was defending his position over the horse she was trying to give a cookie to, and got kicked by a higher-ranking horse horse, who was meaning the kick, the kick was intended for her horse, she was just in the way. That stuff happens because of cookies. The fight with horses over a cookie is not because they're fighting for your love. The fight with horses over cookies is they're fighting each other for something they don't think, if they stood quietly, they would get over the other horse. Do I believe that you can possibly motivate the duller horse for performance by offering it a treat? Honestly, a scratch is free, and I scratch all my horses. I find a nice little itchy spot. For the most part, every horse has an itchy spot they can't reach, usually on their withers, and if they're not in a herd environment, they really don't even have another horse to do that for them either. Or if they're low man on the totem pole, chances are nobody wants to groom with them either. So usually you can find a pretty good itchy spot just on the side of the wither. That to me is a much more appreciated reward. It's also seen by your horse as a gesture of affection, therefore kindness, therefore love. That's how you're going to tell your horse you love him, not by giving him a sugary treat that they're going to want to get pushy about asking for. You hear people will say, oh, my horse knows that he doesn't get it unless. My horse knows, he's not going to get it unless he's done this for me, or he knows he's not going to get it until after he comes off the cross ties and I'm done grooming him. Really? So what did he do the whole time you were grooming him? Tossed his head up and down, bit the side of the cross ties, pawed, danced, did all those things because your horse is only thinking about getting that cookie. It's kind of like when dogs beg. Oh, they know they're not going to get anything until I'm done eating. Yeah, but what are they doing while you're eating? They're staring at you. Another pet peeve. Sorry. I have that. That is an actual pet peeve that sorry I went on that. So anyway, really want to emphasize that if you want to give your horse something that's a love gesture, something that is absolutely, without question, guaranteeing that your horse will recognize your actions as loving, as affection, scratch them. Find an itchy spot, scratch them. You can do that while you're riding. What are you going to do when you're riding and you want to give your horse a treat reward? You have to stop, bend over, get yourself in an unbalanced position, and have your horse bend all the way around and try to get the treat from your hand as he's bent around. Chances are you could fall off. Chances are your horse could spook in a moment and definitely fall off. Your horse could then decide that cookies are more important than the work that you're asking them to do, and they're going to slam on the brakes on a regular basis and turn their head around and say, so do I deserve a cookie now? How about now? Now? How about now? Bad habits, I feel, can only be promoted by handheld treats. Again, my horses get treats. I purchase high-end treats. I have no problem supplying treats for my horses. I have no problem patronizing treat companies. No problem whatsoever. But I give them to them in their bucket or in their ground feeder. I do not give them from my hand. It was funny, I actually had a sign where when Ritz was a baby outside his stall that said, I really love treats, and my mommy says I can have one, but please put it in my bucket. Well, there was a woman who disregarded my sign and was giving my horse carrots by her hand when I didn't know it. Obviously, if I had known it, I would have said something. One day I was working with him in the arena, and she had kind of popped in to say hello, and my horse almost could have been classified as charged to her. There was no real aggression, stallion-like charge, but there was a demand from my horse at this woman, and he was free he was at liberty. So I had to interfere with that and get a hold of him because of the way he went at her. And she says, oh, it's because he thinks I might have carrots. I've been giving him carrots. My horse, essentially in my eyes, attacked somebody because they disrespected the sign that I had outside his stall, and he was showing the exact example of why I did not want treats handed to my horse or to any horses that I handle, because I don't want to be standing there with my horse having a conversation with somebody and my horse suddenly decide I think you should be giving me a treat right now and reach over and bite somebody. I do not want my horses biting people. I do not want my horses looking in your hands for food. I do not want my horses patting you down to see if they can figure out how to get you to pop a cookie out of your pocket. I had a vet come for an injury to a horse, and when we were all done stitching him up, she went around and kind of met all my other horses, and Logan looked at her in kind of a, hey, you know, how you doing kind of thing. And she says, oh, I'm sorry, buddy, I don't have any treats. And I said, oh, he wouldn't be looking for a treat. I don't allow handheld treats here. And she goes, you don't? And then, this is a vet. She goes, oh, that's just wonderful. She goes, not many barns honor such a strict rule like that. And, you know, from a vet's perspective, you know how often vets probably get bit because they're looking for, a horse is looking for a treat? I'm sure vets get bit for a lot of other reasons. I'm not saying that horses don't bite vets for reasons that have nothing to do with a treat. However, they probably get bit by horses who think they're supposed to get a treat when they're handled. She seemed extremely impressed that my horses would not be looking to find a treat in her hand. And that made me feel really good, because the people that I care about the most, the reasons that I do things the most, are to make sure that anybody that's around my horses, anybody that's in contact with my horses, anybody that might even just be standing outside of my fence line from my horses are safe from my horses. That my horses are not going to offer to bite them because they've gotten used to thinking people are cookie dispensers.